Hello, I'm Yoko, and welcome back to a new Pokemon Gijinkas video where I draw Pokemon as humans. It's been a while since the last one of these, but I really want to get back into posting these regularly since it's really fun drawing these designs. With that said, let's get into the video with our first Pokemon, which made me stall doing this video for a while after I had originally planned. It's Slaking, an already pretty humanoid Pokemon. If you're new here, I use the Pokemon's gender ratios to randomize the gender of the design I draw, and this one was randomized to be a boy, which I am grateful for because that made this easy. I usually draw these characters standing in a way where you can see most of the outfit, but Slaking's always laying down pretty much, and that's kind of their thing. So I met it halfway and had him sitting down instead of standing up. I tried to make his face similar to the Pokemon, so he has no eyebrows but a strong brow, and I added an underbite to stick his teeth out like the real one. I gave him eye bags and made his nose pink, trying to be similar to the design. Maybe this human Slaking has a cold, or maybe he's a drunkard. I styled his hair into a ponytail with bits sticking up to emulate that tuft that Slaking has on his head, and with the rest of his hair melding into a beard to resemble that fur that's on his neck. I also gave him a belly and an open shirt with some chest hair to add more to that white fluff that he has. Outfit-wise, it's pretty simple. Open shirt and sweats with tattered ends and rope-like stuff around his wrists and ankles. Just to add a bit more design diversity, honestly. I also added some hairlines on his hands and feet. He's also not wearing shoes because I feel like he wouldn't, but I have once again forced myself to draw feet and figure out how to make them look good. But that's basically all there is to Slaking. Not my favorite Pokemon design-wise to use as a starting point, but I do like how the drawing turned out in general. Definitely has the vibes that he'd call you from across the house to tell you to get him something that's like just out of his reach. But with that said, let's move on to the next one. Next up is Silcoon, who the randomizer also decided was a boy. Out of the Cocoon Pokemon, Silcoon and Cascoon give me the most bandages vibe, so this poor boy is covered in a ton of them. As for why he has them, no idea, but I was going for the vibe in anime where they'd be covered almost completely and on pretty much all their exposed skin after a battle or something. So you can see bandages sticking out of his sleeve, up his arm, all the way to his fingers, some on his neck, and some covering one eye to help with the fact that Silcoon has only one eye showing. Editing Yoko to come in to say that Silcoon actually have two eyes. It's just the official art that makes it look like they only have one eye, and I did not fact check that. So oops. Silcoon as a Pokemon is basically just a ball with spikes and an eye, so there wasn't much to work with. I gave him swooshy, spiky hair and covered most of his body with a hoodie and sweats. I imagine he's not fit to be going anywhere, so he's just in socks, and I also put a rip in one of them because, I don't know. And that's basically it. Here's Silcoon. Considering the simplicity of the base Pokemon I was working with, I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. I'll be interested to figure out what I do differently for whenever Cascoon pops up, because I want it to be similar, but not the same. But yeah, we're leaving Hoenn for the next Pokemon and going back in time. Next up is Hisuian Qwilfish, who the randomizer decided would be a girl. And this Pokemon popping up is what forced me to actually go back and finish at least the base game of Legends Arceus. I struggled a lot on the concept stage for her. I wanted her to wear Hisuian clothes, but I was struggling with the rules. In the end, I believe I gave her a spiky hairstyle from the actual game, but I think it's one of the boy styles instead. And I also gave her the face makeup that I imagine is a similar thing to what the bandits wear. I ripped up the bottom of the outfit and the sleeves of what I'm pretty sure is a non-accurate kimono, and added a bracelet with a ring of more spikes because we can't have enough of them. Qwilfish is very spiky. I really like the tights/pants, whatever those are, where I added a pattern similar to Qwilfish's tail on them and a fade to the lighter color. I also gave her purple sandals that I'm pretty sure I referenced straight off an existing one in the game, but I don't know which ones they were. I'm also going to mention that I usually draw every 10th Pokemon species in this series as a shiny form, and this was supposed to be shiny, but I didn't realize until after like a week when I finished it, and I had already merged everything on this drawing, and So what I did is I just made whatever the next one was going to be a shiny at the time. So not the next Pokemon, but the next one from the point where I realized. So, RIP, no Silverfish, but another Pokemon in this video is shiny instead. But yeah, here's my Hisuian Qwilfish. I like her look, but my brain hurt drawing her. So, on to the next Pokemon, which is Primarina, who the randomizer decided would be a boy. And I didn't think I ever posted it anywhere, but I already made a human Primarina design of my starter, who I named Tenor, back when Sun and Moon came out. So I basically just drew him, with I think the only major change to this design being he's more tan now. So I gave him a fabulous long blue hair with beaded pearl hair, like hair scrunchy things, and a matching headband that has a starfish and ribbon connected to it to add some flair. I gave him white-colored eyelashes and Primarina's half-blue, half-pink eyes, which are really pretty looking. He's wearing an open crop top with a frill around his open chest and sleeves that get bigger towards his hands to try to emulate the flipper look of Primarina. And speaking of hands, I'm looking at this finished picture and realizing I drew the one by his face backwards, and I remember thinking it looked weird but not knowing why it looked weird. Oops. That's probably relatable to at least a few of you, especially if you're artists in general. Anyway, pants-wise, I made them have a frilly waist and bell-bottom out towards the bottom, where he's wearing chunky heels. I imagine he's already tall, and the heel is just to go an extra step of being extra. I also have pink decorative bits hanging off the waist with the waist of his pants by his hips to resemble Primarina's pink spikes in the tail. With his exposed midriff, he has Gen 6 Wallace vibes, and I love it. He's killing it. Anyway, here's my Primarina. I really love him, but I'm probably biased since this design was pre-existing and my Pokemon Moon starter. Really wish I caught that hand while drawing, but I am too lazy to fix it. Next up is another Alolan Pokemon. Well, an Ultra Beast. Next up is Poipole. And I'll say right now, this is when I realized I skipped a shiny, so this Poipole is not actually going to be purple. Spoiler, they're white and yellow now. Poipole have no gender, so this character falls under the non-binary umbrella. Back when I drew Kartana first, I mentioned how I think I'd like to hide most of the Ultra Beast's body, or at least their face in an attempt to make them feel less human. So Poipole has a mask, and what I imagine has light up eyes and a mouth design. So that's not actually the face, it's just a mask. And it's connected to a top helmet-like part in the shape of Poipole's head. And you can decide if that bit on the top is hair, a ribbon, or like an antenna. No idea. I imagined it as hair, but whatever. To stick with the not quite human aspect, I also gave them unnaturally pale purple, almost white skin, and some elf-like ears. They also have a slightly different colored arm sleeve glove thing that covers most of it. They're wearing a turtleneck with a circular opening on the belly in an attempt to get something similar to Poipole's markings. I am struggling to say this name. Since they're a younger looking character, to thicken up the hip area because Poipole has that teardrop shape, I gave them big old pockets. And I couldn't figure out how to get the tail in the design, so what I did was add spikes to the side of the shoes as a callback to the one big spike on the tail. Drawing this made me realize I barely remember Ultra Moon, but I definitely did play it. But yeah, here's our yellow and white Poipole. I prefer the original palette definitely, but this one is a cool one. Design-wise, this was a bit tricky, but I think they turned out alright. Now onto a similar situation with our next Pokemon, Pheromosa, another Ultra Beast with a white and yellow color scheme. I almost forgot to hit record on this one, by the way, but I caught it before I got too far in the drawing. I think you only missed like my base pose sketch that I made. And same no gender situation, so they're under the non-binary umbrella too. Pheromosa is already pretty humanoid, and they look like Lusamine, so this was interesting to plan without making them look like Lusamine. In the end, I gave them super long hair and two bits sticking out like antennae that have a yellow bead at the end. I also gave them what looks like a yellow crown, but I imagine it being more like a top of a visor slash mask situation that turns into a veil at the bottom. And at this point, I'll say I'm continuing with the cover of the Ultra Beast's face that I started, and these are not their eyes, and it's part of the mask. To make the design slightly more off-putting, I also stretched out their arms, legs, and neck just a bit longer than what would be normal. I think it's most unsettling with the arms, which also have 2 really unnaturally long nails, but only 2 of them. I also tried to give more bug-like traits by adding segments on their elbows and knees. They have really tall, skinny heels and a flowing segmented outfit. Skin tone-wise, I made the small bits that are showing a straight gold color, and that's basically my Pheromosa. It was interesting to try to do something creative with this basically already human-looking bug, and I hope I succeeded. I'm gonna be honest, the humanoid Pokemon aren't the most fun when doing these. With that said, what was your favorite design in this video? Let me know in the comments. This is a bit of a weirder patch, I think. If you enjoyed this type of video and haven't seen them yet, I have 8 others just like this, and I have them in a playlist which will be linked somewhere. Either in the description or in a card above. I'll see if I remember. If you haven't already and would like to, I'd appreciate if you could like, subscribe, and check out some more content from me. My socials are linked below, and my commissions are open, including a Valentine's Day Your Character Here, unless all the slots are filled by now. Thank you for watching, and I should see you next week. Peace!